story. So when we asked our first storyteller what her favorite form of self-care was, she said, stargazing on a clear night. I always wave when the International Space Station passes. So please welcome to the stage, Angela Mayfield.
You promise I'm not supposed to touch it, right? Lily will yell at me if I touch this mic stand, so I'm gonna stand here like this the whole time. That's good. I think it's good. Okay, so here's what happened. It was a Sunday morning. I had just turned 40, and I was scrolling. You know, scrolling, we all scroll. Post a picture of your dog, like somebody else's dog, keep scrolling. And switched over to Twitter, doing the scrolls, and I stop because a tweet comes up in my timeline. Because at the time, last March, you probably all remember this, there was a bill that was then passed called, hey, there you go. It's always my fault. So there was a, oh my God, he's messing with me now. I told you I wasn't gonna touch the mic. Did you touch the mic? Are we good now? All right, my man. Okay. So back at Sunday last March. Okay, so there was a bill up called, we've all kind of assumed a shorthand for it called 481. The Living Infants Protection and Equality. It doesn't matter. None of that, because it's all a lie, right? So a tweet came across my timeline, and I saw it, and it was just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And I had some thoughts, as you might imagine. And I shared those thoughts in a series of 33 very angry tweets. Very angry. I talked about what it's like to live with a uterus in this body, in this state. I talked about how I rolled snake eyes with the DNA dice, and I got 2 copies of this one. Let's not even call it a mutation. It's just sort of an abnormality, a genetic abnormality that makes me unable to process a certain amino acid that is an absolute necessity in pregnancy. Basically, this body cannot build a human puppy with a fully functioning spine and brain. Every pregnancy that I have or will ever experience will end inevitably and necessarily in abortion or miscarriage. There's no other way around it. So I talked about that on the internet very publicly. It's kind of a big diversion from my typical Twitter content. I like to talk about bugs that I find in my garden. Post cool pictures of them. Arthropods are pretty rad. I get a lot of cool ones. So I like to post pictures of bugs, and I like to shitpost about possums a lot. Like a lot. Like I've been warned by more than one person, like this stage is not about possums and I don't talk about possums. So my brain's like, don't talk about possums, don't talk about. Okay, so we'll talk about possums later. But anyway, that's what I like to talk about, not my own body. But that's what I did that day. And I tweeted about, in 33 tweets, I tweeted about how you can check every box of white lady respectability, married, homeowner, 40 years old, all of those things, and still not have equal protection under the law. Still not be in charge of your own body. And I kind of went off because I was up on my high horse and I liked it there. So I kept going, and I talked about how Georgia is the most dangerous place in America for a black woman to give birth. a black mom in a hotel, in a hospital, a black mom in a hospital room is 3 times more likely to die than the white mom in the room next to her. And it's gotten worse in the last 10 years. So we talked about that, and I kind of went off a little bit and then went, send tweet, and went about my day. Fed my dogs, flushed the toilet, washed my hand, and did not know that I had blown up the Twitter machine. So the novelty of doing a hot viral is fun for like the first day, maybe like the first 20 minutes. You get the notifications, the text messages, you watch the retweets come in into the hundreds and the thousands, and then the tens of thousands, and then the hundreds of thousands. And by the second day, it's really overwhelming. My husband's coworkers recognized me. I was getting phone calls from my hometown. My mom ran into my middle school English teacher who had seen it on Facebook, which is a platform I haven't used since my parents showed up there. So that's like 10 years ago. I don't even have a Facebook password anymore. And evidently it was shared another 68,000 times in screenshots. My face talking about my uterus and my body in front of sweet baby Jesus and everybody. And by the third day, it was really overwhelming, and it felt very loud, and I felt like my nerves were a raw, like a downed power line just humming. I gave an interview to Huffington Post, and a German journalist, and fielded some phone calls from people in my past, put it that way. Fielded some phone calls from, like again, old teachers, old principals, old coworkers, old bosses, who had all seen this, and it was really overwhelming. The weirdest part were the responses. It's amazing what people will slide into your DMs with when you've talked about your body as a sexual thing on the internet. The first category of responses were, of course, like surprising nobody, like the guys had a lot of stuff to say. Apparently, if a woman talks about her body on the internet, men's dicks will fall off. So they have to, they have to come back, and they had to. So, I tweeted about my body, so a lot of men felt that they needed to also tweet about my body until I had been appropriately scolded, which was exactly as much fun as it sounds like. One of the popular admonishments that I got from them was keep your legs closed, or, well, don't have sex if you don't want kids, which is, I mean, honestly, like, both are not wrong, except not every man respects closed legs. And I personally have never gotten anybody else pregnant. So maybe that's good advice for somebody who isn't me. So there was that. There were the people who were like weirdly, invasively helpful. Like, you can adopt, right? Yeah, I know. And I also know that from personal experience, it's not the most traumatic, free, and happy ending all the time for every family. And besides, I don't really need a baby. What I need is bodily autonomy, the same thing we all need to take care of ourselves and the people that we love. I just need to be the boss of my own matter. So there was that. There was also, there was a lot of, well, why aren't you on birth control? Blood clot risk. Why don't you use condoms? That's none of your business. There's only 2 of us in the bed. And then there was, why hasn't your husband had a vasectomy? Well, because his ability to control his body does not preclude my ability to control mine, please and thank you. So all of these responses are rooted in one logical fallacy, which is that everybody likes to think that the world is just and that good decisions lead to good outcomes. So if you do the right thing, good things happen. And if you do the wrong thing, that's when bad things happen. And a lot of people want to believe that they've never needed an abortion because they have always done the right thing. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. Sometimes pregnancies end in abortion even when they're really, really wanted pregnancies. So the surprising comments, the ones that took me kind of sideways, were the ones that said that they weren't admonishing, they weren't yelling at me, they weren't calling me a slut, which is great because, again, I'm kind of an old lady at this point. Like, I mean, if you'd have said that 20 years ago, maybe. But at this point, the thing that the most people said, that people kind of crawled out of the woodwork to say was, you should run for office. Ha! No. That's a funny joke, but no. No, really, you should vote for office. You should run for office. I wish I lived in your district so that I could vote for you. I wish I lived in Georgia so I could vote for you. Really, you wish you lived in Georgia? Oh, my heart. I wish you lived in Georgia too. It's wonderful here. I love it here, which is why I won't leave. A lot of people said that we should leave when that law was passed, that law that endangers our bodies and our lives and our ability to take care of ourselves. A lot of people said we should leave, but that's advice from white women for white women. If you have the resources to leave, you're already gone. So I will stay and I will fight. And more people slid into my DMs. 60, 80, 100, 200. It kept climbing. And everybody said, you should run for office. And I was like, you don't know me. And then they said, no, you really should. And then one of the people who said you should run for office was one of the executive leadership for the Georgia Democratic Party. And she said, so are you really serious about running for office? Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy, or are you gonna bite? And I said, are you daring me to eat a bug? Because if you dare me to eat a bug, I'm gonna eat a bug. Are you daring me? And she said, there's no such thing as qualified anymore, you're qualified. A lot of men don't need to be asked to run for office. Nobody needs to beg them. They wake up one day and go, I deserve this. Nobody has to like sweet talk them into it and go like, no, really, you're totally qualified. You should do it. And they go, I don't know. No, that doesn't happen. Men are like, I should have that. So she said, like, how serious are you? And I was like, I guess very serious because I can't carry a baby. I mean, there's no way I can change that. I went through the effort of having my barcoding, my DNA unspooled in a lab, all the A's, C's, T's, and G's, just written out like a party streamer to find that one place on chromosome 1 at position 36.3 that says I can't have babies. Can't carry a baby. What I can do is carry this burden. And so in May, I filed to run for office. On the advice of literally thousands of randos on Twitter who said you should totally run for office. I totally am running for office, and it is very scary, and in some ways it is not. I don't want to minimize pregnancy, but it's not unlike a pregnancy. Like, I know there's a due date. We know it's coming in November. So hopefully you will all be there to celebrate with me as we take care of our state together. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Melinda one more time, please. Huh? Oh my God, that was Angela. Sorry, Angela. Listen, I just gave away